All right, welcome everyone. You know, it's pretty wild how much can happen in just 24 hours in the world of AI. So today, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to take just a single day's worth of news and use it to build out a complete picture of the entire AI economy. I mean, from the literal ground up, the silicon, all the way to the top, where the global debate is raging about its future.
Okay, let's just start with this number, $1 trillion. I mean, let that sink in. This is the reported scale of OpenAI's ambition. And get this, it's not for some fancy new model. Nope, it's for securing the raw, brute force computing power they need for the future. We're talking the electricity, the data centers, the mountains of chips. It's a number so huge, so astronomical, that it basically forces us to completely rethink what this industry is even about.
So that really makes you wonder, right? What does a trillion-dollar future even look like? To get our heads around that, we can't just focus on the shiny chatbots on our screens. We've got to dig deeper. We need to look at the entire stack that's being built, piece by piece, starting right at the very bottom.
All right, let's get into it. The foundation. This is where it all begins, the global race for compute. And I want to be clear, we're not talking about clever code here. Not yet. This is a physical, down-and-dirty race for raw power and silicon.
And wow, this really shows you the sheer scale of what's happening. The money being thrown around is just staggering. You've got Anthropic locking down over a gigawatt of compute from Google. Now, why does that matter? Well, it gives them a real alternative to NVIDIA's chips, which, as you know, are incredibly hard to get. But then there's this other move. ASML, the company that builds the insane machines that print the chips, they're pumping over €1 billion straight into Mistral AI. Think about that. A hardware giant is now investing directly in what will be one of its biggest future customers. The entire supply chain is just folding in on itself.
So remember that gigawatt we just mentioned? Well, here's the estimated price tag for just one of them, around $50 billion. $50 billion. All of a sudden, that $1 trillion number from OpenAI doesn't sound so crazy, does it? It just shows you the insane barrier to entry we're talking about here. This is a high-stakes game.
And all of this leads to a new reality. The industry has a term for it: compute as a competitive moat. And the strategy is brutally simple. It's like building a giant castle wall. Your advantage isn't just your smarts anymore, it's your access to massive scale power, chips, and data centers. It's not just about who writes the cleverest algorithm. The winners are going to be the ones who can actually afford to build and power the kingdom in the first place.
Okay, so you've built the foundation, you've got the power. Now what? How do you actually build something on top of it? Well, that brings us to the next layer, the engine room. This is the crucial plumbing that makes all this AI stuff actually work for real businesses. And this table here, it just perfectly captures how the whole enterprise data layer is being totally rewired. You've got these huge platforms, MariaDB, Couchbase, Dell, and they're not just adding AI features, they're embedding them right into their core. We're talking stuff like hyperscale vector search, which is really just a fancy way of saying the database can find stuff based on what it means, not just the exact words you type. And you're seeing new protocols that let AI agents, these little autonomous programs, talk directly to the database to get info and actually do things.
So here's the big takeaway, the major shift that's happening. AI is no longer just a bolt-on feature, something you kind of tack on to your existing systems. It's becoming a core, built-in, native part of the whole data stack. And that's a huge deal. It's the difference between a simple chatbot and a true operational AI that can actually act on its own.
Okay, this is where it gets really exciting. We've got the foundation, we've got the plumbing, but what is all this incredible power actually for? Let's finally move up the stack and look at AI in the real world.
I mean, just look at this. This is powerful stuff. Google's Earth AI is a perfect example of AI becoming like public infrastructure. It's not just some consumer product. It's a tool for crisis response. Think about it. During the California wildfires, this system helped route people to safety. The World Health Organization is using it to predict cholera outbreaks. It's mapping deforestation. This isn't science fiction. This is AI saving lives today.
And the impact it's having on pure science, it's just breathtaking. It's like scientists now have this incredible co-pilot for discovery. You have projects like Deep Somatic finding new genetic variants of cancer. You have others literally generating brand new ideas for therapies that scientists then go and test in a lab. And get this, it's even speeding up the hunt for fusion energy by running millions of virtual plasma experiments. It's just transforming every single field it touches.
And then you get these truly mind-bending ideas popping up. Take DeepSeek's vision tokens. The concept is just wild. They're basically taking huge chunks of text and compressing them into 2D images, like a picture. Then the AI model reads the picture instead of the text. Why? Because it could potentially let it process 10 times more information. Imagine feeding it an entire library of legal documents for the same cost. This is the kind of outside-the-box thinking that could completely change how these models work.
But here's a really important reality check. It's not just a one-way street where AI dominates everything. For all this incredible power, human insight is still absolutely critical. In fact, in pure math, a PhD student just beat a result from a DeepMind AI on a problem that's been around for a century. It's just a great reminder that, for now at least, AI is an amazing tool, but it's not some all-knowing oracle. Humans are still in the game.
Okay, so we have all this power, all these applications, and that naturally leads to a massive, society-level question. Who gets to make the rules, and how? This brings us to the very top of our stack, the global debate over control.
And you can see two very different philosophies starting to emerge around the world. In one corner, you have the US approach, which is all about controlling the foundation. They're focused on things like chip export controls and who gets access to the most powerful models, framing it as a matter of national security. Then in the other corner, you have the EU with its AI Act. They're focused on the application layer, making rules about how AI is actually used out in the real world. So you've got this really complex, fragmented landscape forming.
And man, has this sparked a fierce debate. You basically got a few different camps. In one camp, you have some of the biggest names in tech signing letters calling for a total pause on superintelligence research until we can prove it's safe. And they point to polls that suggest most people are on their side. Then you have another camp that's pushing back hard. They're warning that slamming on the brakes with top-down rules could crush innovation and maybe even free speech. And then there's a third group trying to change the conversation entirely, saying we need to stop thinking of this as a competitive race and start working together on a global scale.
And right in the middle of all this, you've got figures like Sam Altman from OpenAI, who has a different take. He's suggesting that the arrival of AGI, artificial general intelligence, it might not be this big, dramatic, light switch moment. He thinks it might just whoosh by us, a gradual change that we just sort of adapt to. But he also admits it's going to bring some scary phases along with it, which is, a little unnerving.
But, beyond all the philosophical debates, the rubber is actually starting to meet the road. Practical governance is starting to emerge. You're seeing companies buying up AI governance startups so they can build risk assessment right into their everyday tools. On the trust front, the World Bank has this cool new protocol that can check an AI's numbers against real data in real time. That's a huge deal for stopping those hallucinations in important reports. And of course, the lawyers are getting involved. The first big lawsuits over AI-generated defamation are hitting the courts, and that's going to start setting some major precedents for who's responsible when things go wrong.
So, let's pull it all together. In just one day's news, we journeyed from the literal Silicon Foundation, up through the enterprise engine room, all the way to world-changing applications and a massive global debate. What we're really witnessing here is an entire economy being built from the ground up, in real time, right before our eyes. And that leaves us with one final, and I think pretty urgent question. This whole AI stack is being built at light speed. Are we building the guardrails fast enough to actually steer it?